Are you ready? Are you ready to pot it up?
Let's go. Let's have fun. Peatcast it.
This is the Simply Youth Ministry Podcast with Doug Fields,
I think it's going to be a four-shoulder touch.
Matt McGill,
Nothing says loving like a muffin.
Josh Griffin,
The internet is a hotbed of activity.
and Jana Sardi.
Podcast.
The show starts now.
Hey everybody, welcome to podcast number 116. Has this been changed? Yep. 116. Doug Fields here with Matt McGill, regular, and our king of all things. Nadim, what is actually your title at Simply Youth Ministry? What are you?
I am.
Not the titles matter here, but
No,
I know
they
you
don't.
run everything.
I'm the youth ministry publisher and the operations manager.
The youth ministry publisher and the operations manager, and he's only here until Josh gets here. Then he's going to get booted. And to my right and to Matt's left is a friend of Matt and mine. We've worked together at Saddleback and
My friend first.
I don't know. Let's talk about that, Craig. Anyway, this is Craig Hodgkins.
Who do you like better? I do that to my children. I love it.
I've seen you do that to your children.
Anyway, Craig is a guest today because Jana couldn't be here, and Craig has a long experience in ministry. He worked at Disney prior to working in the church. He's a performer. He's a guitar player. He's a comedian. He is a writer. He is a wonderful, wonderful human, and he's going to be joining us today because Jana couldn't be here. Josh Griffin just showed up, but
What's up, everybody? What's up?
but Josh, you have to wait. You have to wait for a second. Just stand over here. Yeah. Hi, by the way.
How are you?
Good to see you.
Hello.
I'm
Is this a
looking forward
dude
to
show
What's up,
today?
man?
A dude show.
It was till you showed up.
My feminine side will come out at some point. So.
Josh Griffin just showed up, but Josh, you're going to have your seat in just a second.
Okay.
But
Are we doing some product placement?
Well, yeah, we're going to start with the product. Let's feel this thing. This is a brick. It's the size of a Bible.
That's a behemoth.
The size of a
And
talent.
I know we've been working on this for probably 2 years since I first got them to say yes to us doing it. Nadim, why don't you just start for a second, then we're going to get into the show. It's called T3, and T3 stands for Talent, Treasure, Time, Creative Ways to Give It Away. It is put together by Lisa and Denny Balesi.
I heard of them.
Who have written incredible... Matt's a little obnoxious.
I've seen the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say.
Yeah,
Well, not recently because of that, but yeah.
But anyway, they've written some incredible books, and we said this worked in our youth ministry. We just had them do our student leadership conference, which was unbelievable. And there's so much in this packet, and because Simply Youth Ministry pays for the podcast and the bandwidth, they don't pay us.
Yeah, no, they
I
don't.
wish they would.
No, they don't.
Wait a second.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, this
There's no
is
check.
free. Anyway, there's a lot of stuff in here. Tell us what's going on, Nadim.
Yeah, it's basically the student version of Kingdom
I'd like to know the
Assignment.
complicated answer. Don't say basically.
So far, you yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what the podcast
But let's
is, an hour and a half
pretend
long
people don't
usually.
know what the Kingdom Assignment
Yeah.
is, okay?
Essentially what it is, it's a curriculum on creative stewardship. I mean, typically when we talk about stewardship in the church, it's tithing, it's money. This is more about using what God has given you to multiply it and further His kingdom.
In my case, which doesn't include money, actually.
Well, there you
So
go.
then I have to be
Yeah,
creative.
both you guys are unemployed, actually.
So it's a curriculum, but
Hours
there's a
are good.
video curriculum. It's 7 to 9 weeks, right?
It's a 9-week curriculum. The first 6 weeks, you actually sit down, you watch the videos. We also give you the scripts in case you don't want to use the videos, so small group leader can.
It's
can
typical
teach it.
Simply Youth Ministry, just add water type
Just
stuff.
add water type stuff, and then the last 3 weeks are where students are presented with a challenge to actually go out, apply what they've learned.
Okay. Josh, talk about, when these guys came to talk to our student leadership, just come real close to my face.
Hi, Doug.
And when they talked about the Kingdom Assignment to our kids, and then they sent our kids out, they gave them, like $1
Look
each
at that
kid.
picture of Jeff McGuire on the back.
And they had to take that $1 and combine their resources and do something
Yeah,
creative.
so they took the $1 and they would just try to see in a few hours what it could turn into. What was God going to do with that $1 that they were given? And the stories were incredible. Some people turned it into a lot more money, and some people gave it away, and some people bought something for someone else. It was just really neat to see the creativity that $1 put in the hands of a student and a challenge could bring. So it was awesome.
And this kit includes DVD, 6 lessons by Jeff McGuire. Jeff McGuire is the youth pastor at Mariners Church down the street.
Yeah,
he's
awesome.
one of my bestest of friends, and is a great, very good communicator. It has 5 student journals, PDFs of the leaders' guides and student journal, promotional e-card, postcard, poster, background, desktop background, additional editable promotional material. And is this on the website yet?
It is on the website.
McGuire's also a hair model. When you look at that
He looks
picture.
good. He does look
And
good.
McGuire's great.
If I had hair, I'd be wearing it that way as well.
It's just
Yeah.
flaunting
Yeah.
in front of Doug.
All right, Nadim, anything else you want to say?
That should do it. Thank
Okay.
you.
So
There you
remember,
go.
T3, time, talent, treasure.
There it is. All right.
And voiceover work by
Exactly.
Craig.
I like it. You weren't sitting down with a microphone on you, so I had to step in and
Josh,
do some of the
welcome.
dirty work.
Thank you.
Welcome,
You guys
glad
started a
you're
little
here.
early.
Well, we...
What?
It's all
Or was I a
relative.
little late?
Yeah,
It's all
you're a little
relative.
late.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt, you want to put your phone down? Or you
I'm
wanna join
searching
us?
for us on YouTube right now. Whoa, so close. I was even trying to get it out there.
He's lost a
That's
step
why he
in
put
your
me in
old
this
age.
show.
Well, why don't you join our show and just know?
I will.
What is the deal here? The thought is that the podcast is going to be on the iPhone.
Yes, it already is. It's right here. Simply
Okay.
Youth Ministry Podcast.
It's
Okay.
streaming right now?
Yeah, we have a live
buffering,
show
right?
It's
going
buffering.
on.
Pretty soon I'm going to see me watching
No
myself.
way.
Well, can we set it here so we can all see?
I'll set it over here so I can
Yeah.
see it and show you a little bit.
There you go.
Oh.
All right.
I'm
so
not
you guys
giving.
got a
I'm not
resource.
giving up that.
This much
treasure.
fun just about every week? This is what you do, guys?
We have a lot of fun.
We
After
do.
product placement, it all goes
Yeah.
downhill.
Well,
The
actually,
rest
that's
of the,
the first
team.
time.
I'm not sure the rest of the team.
Yeah, they're not having any
has
fun.
No,
but
our
Hello,
team
everybody.
has fun. You know
Team-
what? Last weekend
15,
I
20
was in
people in this room.
Cincinnati at the Youth Specialties Convention, and I just twittered and said I'm going to be in the conference hall for an hour.
Chili?
If you want to be there, and a bunch of our podcast friends showed
Fun.
up. and,
Cool.
one guy said, "I just have to be real honest with you, Matt McGill. He's my favorite. He's
Oh,
my favorite."
yes.
And I said, "Why would Matt be your favorite?"
That's a good
He's
question.
the most obnoxious, the most opinionated.
Dude, this is unbelievable.
What's that?
Don't take it
I
out of my
won't, I
hand.
won't.
Wait, you're
You won't?
watching
I
it
won't.
live on your...
Yeah.
This is the reason why
Wait, so if
Matt
I
is
put
this
my
guy's
hand up
favorite
right now,
trainer.
how soon will it go?
Let's see. We're watching it for those of you
2003,
listening.
2005.
It's quite a bit
2006.
behind, it looks like.
Well, it's still.
Well, it's
I'm
for
gonna put my
language,
hand
I
down.
think. It's a 10-second delay.
That's
for language.
great.
That is
pretty sweet.
really
Did
cool.
your hand
Look
ever
at
go
that.
up? Oh, it just stopped.
Brilliant.
Nice.
All right, so we're going to come back to the show now.
I'm
Matt
not-
has
I
a
haven't
little-
gone
Matt has
anywhere.
a shiny object that is
Look.
lost him.
Look.
So anyway,
guys,
the guy
it's like
says
4%
the
of my
guy
brain
says to
power.
me,
That's your favorite.
and
yeah.
I said, why? And he says, well, I went to a PDYM conference in the year 2000.
This is important for people to hear
That's
stories
why.
like this.
Right there.
And he says, and
Fake his
after
name.
one of the sessions, I was by myself, and Matt came up and talked to me, and we sat down, and we had about an hour conversation,
Whoa.
and he's always been my favorite since then. So it really didn't have much to do with the show. It had
Yeah,
a lot to
clearly.
do with the ethos of an experience that happened 10 years ago.
That's right.
But
Still
Take
making
what you
it.
can get, man.
Yeah,
Nothing
right.
wrong with
Hey, anyway, Craig, what
Take
we
what I
do
get.
is
That's a great one.
we
What are you
try
talking
to
about?
we try to keep Matt as quiet as possible, and we try to get to some questions. So that's
Cool.
kind of the essence. I'd
Oh,
love
for
for you to.
Well, Matt and I were going to have an hour-long
chime in.
conversation so I could say nice things about him the next time I see you in Cincinnati.
That's
like
right.
There you go.
That's right.
There we
Hey,
go.
did you
Uh,
eat any chili?
No, I was just there for
Oh.
very quick. I did
Well, the
something
chili
on.
goes through you quick.
Well, I
Skyline,
got
isn't that
there
right?
Yep.
Saturday,
It's a level of
Saturday
detail.
night. I was involved in some meetings on Sunday, and then I left early Monday morning.
Did you do a general session?
I was
Or did
part of
you-
a general session on
Part.
on Sunday night, but
That's
it
cool.
wasn't on there. They weren't promoting it. It was basically a favor I was doing last minute.
cool.
But I got to have dinner with Duffy and Marv and Walt Mueller and some of my buddies there, and it was very fun.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Hope you named
Youth
them all.
Specialties, Zondervan is selling
feel bad.
the events section of Youth Specialties. Not they're keeping the publishing, but they're selling the events. Nobody knows who the buyer is, and so when people saw me there, that became some of the
Trigger.
rumor. People were like, "Oh,
Sure.
Doug Fields is here to buy Youth Specialties."
It's a
Yeah.
sealed bidding process.
Which
Yeah,
is
the
not
big-
true.
You
Big
are
announcement.
the youth ministry mogul.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
So anyway, it was.
I'm not
it
talking
was-
about ski bumps.
At the knees. Yeah.
They do.
Here's a question by our buddy Mark Eads, just a middle school guy. He says, I thought the answer to the question might be useful. How do you deal with camps who have had damage done to their camp by your group?
Wow.
Also, have
Talking
you...
about physical property damage?
Yeah, that's what I'm
Oh,
guessing.
okay.
Have you
Psychic
also
damage.
dealt with...
Emotional, you can't repay.
Exactly. I'm saying, emotionally, I've dealt with that more. at camps
Counselors,
than I
the
think,
tears.
Have you dealt with camps that said that your group damaged some of their equipment, but you don't believe it was your group that did it? Looking forward to the conference in Chicago with you all.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Matt will
Well,
spend an hour with you too.
I assume the other way. I assume we did do it.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
my...
'Cause you know your kids.
We probably did do it.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Mark, he probably knows.
He probably
his
has a
kids.
good kid.
Well, it's kind of like renting a car in some ways because, you know,
That's good.
you ought to take a look at the camp before you start,
Yeah.
because what happens, every camp that I've ever had to have a budget responsible for is that you are pretty much trying to even that thing out at the very end.
right.
You know, you're not, I
praying
mean,
for-
for us
yeah.
anyway, we're not charging, you know,
Yeah.
we're not trying to create a slush fund. So you
We're
want
not.
the camp to end.
Depending on how close to staff retreat we
That's
were.
exactly true. That is the one exception. We can go
more
public,
kids at camp.
especially since I'm not on staff anymore. I can just say
The soda budget is sky
we used to
high.
have this thing called the freshman frenzy, and the freshman frenzy was right before our staff retreat. And if we made any money at the freshman frenzy, we would just take that and put it
Take
into
it
our
and
staff
go.
retreat.
Love it.
Anyway, but you know, your budgets, you can't take, you know, if an air conditioner goes down, you lose $500 or something like that, or some damage.
Yeah.
Your budget can't take that kind of hit.
No.
Yeah.
So you better know that it was your kid, that your
Yeah.
youth group that did it.
Yeah.
And then if your youth group did it and it was some malicious act, I'd go to the family
Yeah.
and say,
That's
you
only
know,
gonna happen one
we
time.
need help paying for this. Not
Yeah.
we need help paying for this. We need you to pay for this. Your
Yeah.
son did, you know,
Yeah.
X, Y,
Well, and
and
it's
Z.
something, if you're at a camp sharing with other groups, that's sometimes a little bit more difficult. But when it's just you know, obviously you know what it's like when you get there. And also, I guess, part of the relationship you've had with the camp. If this is a camp you guys
Yeah.
have gone to over a period of years, you've got a relationship with it. But yeah, I always recommend walking the site. Like you said, the rental car thing is perfect. Just circle the doors. I mean,
Well-
digital cameras.
I never
Here's
do
a
that
tree
when I rent a
standing.
car. by
Let's
the way.
scale it down a little bit. This happens.
You
in
have a lot of money.
Oh God!
It might be no
a lot of us
object.
that have to
No,
struggle.
that's
We
not
work
true.
Which, by the way, McGill, you totally threw me under the bus.
Oh,
Oh,
crap!
no.
Yesterday. Oh, again. How many
Yesterday?
times?
Did I really?
I talked to Morgan, who's going to be on the show next week.
Oh, I like the Morgan.
I didn't throw you under the bus.
Oh, that's kind of the way it was
the
communicated.
way he said it. No,
Yeah.
no. I
He's-
threw him under the bus.
He says to me, now
Oh, what happened?
let me bring our team in. We've been talking about
Oh,
this weight
yeah.
bet going on.
Oh,
okay,
you
okay.
guys threw me under the bus.
I thought that's why you had me on the show.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get you free food.
Exactly.
We had this.
That's
we had
all
this.
I
We have this.
I don't
weight,
like- that drives
here,
me-
let's stop talking for a minute. Let me bring our team into play here, so this is not insider.
Goodness gracious.
We have this weight bet that we're going to start, not just between
Two
my large
fatties.
friends.
Is this
That
a
was the
percentage
nicest
or
you've
an
ever
actual
said it.
poundage? 'Cause
That
I-
was.
That- well,
I mean,
that
Craig
was
here
great.
softened your mean.
But other
vindictive
youth
spirit.
workers have been writing in and saying, no, you guys are fat. Okay.
There it is. There we go.
There are other youth workers writing in that want to be part of the
I prefer-
contest.
They're also
So
fat.
We're going to
I
start
prefer
this
lard-like.
contest. We're going to start this contest, and we're going to weigh in at our youth ministry conference at the end of February.
Okay.
So Josh actually had a very good idea, because my favorite restaurant where you and I just came
Yes,
from, Boneheads.
Yes.
.com.
Just felt like
You got to live in the area. It's only got one. They
There's
only have
only
one
one.
restaurant, so
Yeah.
it's not nationwide. He doesn't
For
really
now.
win for any advertising. That's
No.
true.
So,
So,
in franchise information.
so he says,
something out there.
Josh says, what if we ate there a couple times a week? They gave us free food. We ate there a couple times a week, and we lose all this weight. And, you know, because it is healthy. It's fish. You know, what you had
Yeah,
today was
zucchini,
less than,
asparagus,
well, you
whatever.
had fries. You had the fries.
I had the sweet potato fries.
Sweet potato fries.
but,
My
but the
dish,
mine
less
with-
than 500
Well,
calories.
yeah, you're eating like broccoli.
Well, I have broccoli and
Broccoli's
Caesar
great,
salad
though.
and a nice piece of salmon for under $10. It's a
know.
great place, great price. Josh is trying to get free food. So
That's all I care
Morgan
about.
talks to me today. I want to said, you want to come on the podcast? We'll talk about the bet. And he says, I need, you know, he had a meeting with an investor and you need to think through it a little bit more. And so this may happen. He says, it's funny. I talked to Matt and Josh, and they have very different personalities.
Oh.
Matt,
For two fat guys.
Matt
For
says,
lard-like.
Matt says that he really isn't the type of guy that likes free stuff like Josh and Doug.
And
No,
Thanks a lot.
but the first time I said it
Oh,
to
that hurts.
his wife, she sent an email about giving me some advice on like processed food and something like that. And
You've been emailing my wife?
did I say Josh's wife?
Well, you weren't very clear, but I knew
But
you were
yeah,
talking about Morgan's
yeah,
wife.
no,
Let's
I
go to
threw
the tape.
I threw Josh I threw Josh under the bus, but not really. Just saying, hey, I know Griff wanted the black car. I go, if we do something, I'm not looking for any
Is that what you're
discounts.
typing? Just
Yeah, but like Doug.
No, and then the second email to him, I said, because then I saw that you hopped on that same bandwagon.
Okay, wait a minute. We got a bandwagon and a bus.
Yeah.
How big is this bus?
This
You can throw
show
a
is
fat guy
worthless
and then
right
Doug
now.
Field.
It's the special bus.
Let me just do this. We need to move on to
Yes.
questions. Am I even close to Josh in terms of going after freebie stuff?
Okay, if he was on one pole and I was on the other, would you be in the middle? You would be a little bit closer to him.
Oh, just the opposite. I would be.
You
I
love
feel-
the deal and getting something free.
I
and-
do. I totally do. If you want
Okay.
to send me something free, I totally do.
Right.
But am I out pushing for it? And
No, no, no,
pursuing
you
it?
don't.
You
push
will
it.
have to
No,
buy
no, no,
your
no.
copy of
Pursuing.
T3.
Yes.
We are not
pursuing.
sending you.
Totally, totally.
Thank you.
I don't even like
Wait
use
a minute.
coupons. They
No,
do- it
I
just
told him that.
embarrasses
And I
me.
told him that. I said, Matt doesn't like anything. I said, I'm embarrassed when I use the black card. But I said,
But
yeah.
you use it without
No,
that.
and I said to him, I said,
It was
I
sly.
said,
You pulled it out. And
I
you
said to
slid it on the
him,
carrot.
ultimately, sure, I like to get free stuff. I'm not going to be pushing for it. I said, Josh and Matt are on opposite extremes, but
Thank
I'm a
you.
lot closer to Matt.
Oh
Okay,
my
good.
goodness.
I totally
That
think so.
is
That's-
not
I
true.
You
too.
are the king of
You
you
are,
the thing.
and that's okay.
But hey, no. But
For you.
Let's talk cash flow.
I put it out there. I put it out there in the original email for the idea, saying Matt and I could lose weight, and I
And
said,
I don't know.
This is just my way of getting a Bonehead's black
Maybe we can
card.
get a black card out
So
of it.
I'm right up front going, I know this is a little bit of a schmoozer move.
Yeah, no, it's
No, you're up front. You're
So
totally up
it's
front.
not like I'm
No, no, no.
scheming
You're
and
not you're not
conniving.
sidewinding.
I'm just saying
No,
this
if
is a
you
good
would-
idea. Give
if
me a
you-
black card.
Yeah.
If you were a conniver,
Then
or
we wouldn't be
Knievel.
friends.
Knievel.
Yeah, you wouldn't be
Evil
here.
Knievel.
Yeah, you're not a conniver at
So
all.
with that having
All right.
been said, send
You
your
are
free stuff.
unabashed,
Have we
shameless.
just, Chris, have we just lost our live audience?
There's no way anyone's listening anymore.
There's a great debate about free, not debate, but everyone in the chat's like, I love free stuff.
Thank
I
you.
love free stuff too. I
love
just
you.
don't
But
ask
here's the
for
deal.
it.
No, you don't. No.
Loving free
You
stuff
guys are on the
versus
other
asking
poles.
for free.
I happen to believe in
Loving
free will.
versus
Just
asking.
let the other person choose.
I happen to believe in give me free stuff. Okay.
All right.
Perfect.
So we're all
Were you with the hip?
we're all
Hey,
youth
come
workers
back
who
from-
like
Where do
free
you think
stuff.
this is going?
Yeah.
It's going with me. Free.
There's just some
that's
people
mine.
that will
gonna
push
cut out
it
the
a little
photo of
bit.
McGuire.
Some people.
Some
who-
people will prostitute themselves.
Yeah. Some people will.
I actually got him. That was great.
Buddy, under the bus. Okay.
Yeah.
We're done.
We're done.
No
Now,
more.
Is this the
Let's-
camp bus?
No, this
to
is
get it
let's
back to the
scale
camp
that
back.
little
Let's
special
scale back
tiny
real
bus.
quick.
next week. Next week we're gonna have Morgan on the show. The rules are gonna get out.
Okay.
Can
Can I be
you be
hearing
in
that free
charge of
stuff?
contacting Matthew McNutt to find out the rules?
He's watching right now.
Okay. How do you know?
Because I just know he always watches.
Okay. Matthew McNutt, we need the rules
Great.
of how to do
Oh,
this.
biggest. Okay, really quick.
Yeah.
Can we scale down this question down a little more?
Gosh, that was good.
Doug stole
he's
the
usually so
phone.
quick.
You looked.
Meech just texted
Oakley
me. That
Sales
was my
Success.
wife.
She went there.
Yeah.
Oh, did she
Oh,
go?
if
Yeah, with
had
some
I known, I
glasses?
would have had her get me something.
I could have
You guys are
texted
so
you.
rich. I
Alright.
could have got some
I'll
free
be over here
stuff.
playing Bejeweled Blitz while I'm waiting for you guys to get back to the topic.
Hey,
All right, wait,
just
let's
enough
scale,
youth
let's scale the
ministry.
question down.
Yeah.
Here we go.
So you're not at camp. You're at a small group now.
we're done with
Someone
that
breaks
question.
something in
We're
a
done
small
with
group.
that
Then
question.
what?
Then we
Scale
move on to
it
the next
down.
question.
Yeah.
Scale it down to a small group. Someone
At a
breaks a
house?
coffee table. What do you do? At a house, breaks a coffee table.
We actually had that as part of our budget a little bit, not a lot. Like
If it was an accident,
$100.
if it's an accident, the church pays for it.
Accident
Yeah.
happens.
You guys
Yeah.
have a fat guy clause, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Fat guy
If it's
wrestled into the
malicious
table.
where a kid's just a knucklehead, I go to
Boom,
the family.
Take the family.
Yeah.
Correct.
All right.
Did you just come from meeting with Hibbler?
Yes.
Awesome.
Okay, Insider. Here is from Andrew Rothaker. And Andrew says, after
use my
following the
name.
podcast off, following the podcast off and on, I would venture to say that we have a Matt McGill, quote, we have a Matt McGill, very intelligent or mentally tough,
Doesn't like free
passionate
stuff.
about ministry, does not exercise the best judgments in things.
I thought that was
And
in the
does not
world.
exercise.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't exercise.
Where are you gonna
Does
put
not
it?
exercise the best judgments
Oh,
in
I-
things like pranks. Listen, just listen. Don't try not to
I'll
talk
distract him while you read.
like pranks or
shiny things.
comedic timings. Thinks PCs are better than Mac. The whole deal.
Right.
Crazy.
This student graduated last year. Is going to local college. He still helps out in our ministry every now and then. I see him with loads of ministry potential, but lacking the maturity level to match. He wants to lead a junior high small group, but his unpredictability, bad judgment keeps us from letting that happen. So here's the question from Matt. If you could go back and do it again,
Ooh.
what would you change about your years
Absolutely
immediately
nothing.
after high school, and what would you keep the same?
I
And he
would.
says, here's a question for Doug. If you could go back
That's the question.
and disciple Matt all over again,
Yeah.
what would you do differently and what would you do the same besides giving him the don't TP the inside of my house talk?
All right, go.
What would you change?
How is this world so screwed up that I'm considered less mature than Griff? That's really
No,
Is
it's not a. It's
if
not
we
a
were
matter
on
of the
polls-
world being screwed up. It's about your worldview being so
God.
If I would be
myopic
I would
and
be opposite end of the
narcissistic
poll.
that your way is the way.
I told someone the line today that I don't have opinions. It was great.
Just wisdom.
Just knowledge. Yeah.
I think somebody's phone is interrupting with the
Oh, somebody's phone is interrupting with the audio.
It's the iPhone they're turning.
Matt's.
You stealing my iPhone.
No,
Look
let's-
at all these iPhones.
Well, I had to confiscate Matt's. For those of you on the radio show, that-
iPhone.
There are 4 iPhones in this room.
Oh no! What do you?
I'm trying to turn yours off.
Where do you
I'll
guys?
put it in-
How much
I'll-
money?
I'll
How do
turn
I
it
get
off.
one for free?
Slide to power
What?
off. That's good.
Yeah, I got mine free. What's
How
up
about
with
that? It's probably Craig's.
it's gone now.
Yeah,
All
because
of us
that's
who
never
quit
happened before.
Saddleback. Oh wait a minute. I'm still here and have one.
So Matt, what would you
Yeah,
say? Is
Matt.
there anything you change?
You
If
get in a
not,
time
Change, not
machine.
change, maturity.
people would expect you to say nothing. So,
Yeah.
So give
no.
him something else.
Yeah. I mean, I
or
had.
you can pass, and I'll
Yeah,
give
I
my-
should pass. I mean, what would I change about my life? My
If you
life
could go
has
back
been
and
great.
do it again, what would you change
would I
about your
change
years immediately
differently?
after high school, and what would you keep the same? Would you have gone to seminary?
No.
No?
I mean, I haven't finished, so I'm a total slacker. But
Maybe you can throw that as part of the diet in there.
yeah.
Nail
Eat
a
it,
couple-
boneheads. Get a
Yeah.
master's degree.
Recover from flunking evangelism and discipleship in seminary. How bad is that?
There's an irony right there.
Yeah. No, I don't know.
Well, you don't wanna-
It's not. If it was. It's too general. I mean, I felt like I got exactly what I wanted to get out of college. I went to study the Bible, not to learn about leadership and ministry, and I don't regret that at all because
But you get that
I
done.
learned. Yeah, well, I mean, I learned that doing ministry after school. So I thought that was great. I mean, was I a knucklehead? Yeah, I still am. But
That's true.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, you want to go back and change it because it would change who you are then.
But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't, I feel like I learned lots of lessons fast. I mean, there's lots of lessons I still have to learn. I mean, but I don't have any regrets where I feel like, oh man, I wish I would have learned this 10 years ago. Well, 10 years ago, I couldn't have
So
learned
is
it.
your advice to this guy saying, hey, he'll find his way. Just stick with him
But
and
do you let
love
him be a
him.
junior high leader? Is the question.
Yeah, but Matt didn't just find his way. I mean,
Sure, that's what I was gonna throw in is that, Fields was a big part of my life, but he actually likes some of my friends a little better than me. Still does. You're one of them. No, but I also had a guy,
under the
Greg
bus together.
Vino, who poured into me a ton.
Totally.
But more relational. And then I had another guy who was my small group leader who I was really connected to a lot, who really poured into me a lot.
Yeah.
And so I really had 3 guys.
but post high school, when you went away to college and you came to work at the church,
Right.
It wasn't Matt just didn't find his way.
Yeah.
There would be times, after just about every event, where we also did life together. So
Right.
we would hang, and I would say something like, Matt, you did a great job teaching tonight, and
But yeah.
here's, here, my 2 cents is I would have started with an inductive story to bring him in a little bit. You
Yeah.
had great content, but you lost him at the beginning or whatever. When he would, have to call people or follow up, we would sit in a room and say, okay,
Yeah.
why don't you listen to me make a phone call, and I'll make the phone call and you
Totally.
listen. So it wasn't just finding his own way. Matt was, he had people
Intentional.
in his life that were guiding him and coaching him. I mean, I said it right when he graduated from college. I said, he's got the Bible knowledge that, and I pointed out to one of the pastors, I said, he's got people skills as good as this. And, Matt was
Low.
just I didn't say
As
that.
good as
Yeah,
that dead
yeah.
turtle over there.
But see, I would say too that what was also great is you took a lot of my questions seriously. I
Yeah.
mean, that was an important thing for me too. And I don't know if this guy's
Yeah.
inquisitive. I mean, it was definitely a strain. I mean,
Well,
dude,
Matt's
how many?
gift of questions. He asked so many questions as a teenager, and I remember one of the other leaders that he's talking about. We would be in a van going to Mexico or something, like a 6-hour drive into Mexicali, and we could only do about an hour at a time with Matt. So we just had this deal. Okay,
You would
get-
alternate drivers?
Yeah, we'd say, okay, you get Matt now. You get Matt.
Oh,
now.
okay, we stopped.
It would be
It's
like,
my turn.
who do you think painted these lines on the highway? How come that dog is still there? And it would be all these same questions. But you knew that even as a teenager, once he starts asking questions about Scripture, about God, about deep things, the
Girls.
way his mind works. He never asked questions about girls. That was always
Interesting.
weird.
Interesting.
So it was intentional, but it wasn't linear. So the idea was that there was an intentionality, but it wasn't curriculum based. Here, we're going to put you on this 3-year development track.
Yeah,
because it was a unique.
I'm going to pour into you until you become a great future.
I mean,
still, Matt. Matt makes 9 out of 10 decisions. There's still times where even
He's still talking about the dog down in Mexico.
No, there's still times where I've got to say, Matt, you reacted a little harshly there.
Totally.
But I was with Jim Burns, last week, who was on the show.
Yeah.
And I was with him, and he's still doing stuff in my life, many years later. This week I wrote a little article on discipleship. It's called Mountain Biking and Discipleship, because I just started mountain biking the last few weeks, and there are so many things I don't understand. First of all, there's 6 sprockets in the back, there's 3 in the front, there's disc brakes, there's different ways to do all this stuff.
Do you have a bike?
Yeah, Aunt Brazelton gave it to me. There's clip-in pedals. I've fallen twice.
I was going to say,
you can't get your feet out. They can't break your fall.
I'm thinking about, I've fallen twice. One time the bike flipped over. There's all this stuff that's going on. I'm riding by myself. It's not a huffy.
You're riding by yourself?
Well, sometimes I am. Sometimes I am. I don't have a job, Matt, so I got a lot of free time.
Wouldn't know what that's like.
Yeah, you would. You have free time at your job. But it really made me think about discipleship, because Andy gave me a bike. We give kids a Bible. I said yes to discipleship. Kids say yes to coming to church, and we kind of leave them on their own.
Yeah.
And the whole time I'm saying, this walk with Jesus is a journey, and are we alongside kids, helping them shift gears, know when to break? Ooh, there's a lot more metaphors that I really didn't. It's kind of a short article. Yeah. But that's, I would say to Andrew or any youth worker, listen, there are a couple people that when they're in junior high or high school, you grab onto them. And you go, okay, I'm gonna journey with them, because what he said in here is he looks at this person, and he's got a lot going for him. Jesus, this isn't new, but Jesus preached to the masses and hung out with the few. Yeah. And that is the essence of youth ministry and discipleship.
And the cool thing is that you see potential in them. Every one of my teachers growing up, they either have a polarizing effect. I don't know if you've noticed this, but they either loved me or hated me. And
this is your second illustration of polarization.
Yes, there's a lot of poles for some reason.
Continue.
But I think when you see value in somebody, that is a way that God is saying, hey, you know what? You should be pouring into that person. You should be, But
I
think that's
What
cool.
if you see potential in everybody?
Well, I was just going to follow that up, but then I decided I'll leave it alone.
Yeah.
And then you bring it up.
Well, you think our team doesn't think?
No, I just think that I
You're
go
just
to
gonna give them
I go to too
generalities?
many details. I'm trying to be quick here.
Glossy, we're so
This is from Matt Sasso, who actually gave his
What
his
is his
number.
last name?
Sasso, Sasso.
That is a
I
Sasso.
thought
How would you say that? I'm terrible. I hack names.
Say Sasso.
He's part of our team. He's part of our podcast
The
team.
team is everybody listening, by
His
the
real
way.
name is
This
Matt.
This is Doug's false way of making people feel they're involved.
Oh, that was a get.
That was a little again.
The only reason it was a get is because part of me thinks you believe that.
No, I
so,
Noise gate on Matt's microphone, don't you?
Oh,
You
no.
had a heart attack.
Craig, when he does that, people literally go,
I'm
okay, that's the
sorry.
last time I'm listening to this. I can't, my ears can't handle it. I just drove a car into a, tree. The whole bit. It's Matt, you get the good with the bad. It's just being Matt's friend. You go, there's a lot of good, and there's
A lot of do you think it's going to get you? Sorry.
Anyway, Matt here says he has a suit from when he was 225 pounds. He'd like to fit into it again. He's 285. It's just another guy that wants to be part of it. So
60 more pounds.
you and Matthew
All right, I got it.
McNutt.
Matthew McNutt.
Okay, I'm going
All
to get the food thing going for you
great.
guys. Okay, I'm going to get the free meals.
1,800 calories, though. I don't know much about calories, but
I've got about 9 pounds I want to lose.
Yeah, you can be a
I
part
want
of
to
it.
start mountain biking again.
It was 10, but I lost about a pound of hair. So I think that's
Speaking of losing hair,
Yeah, that's why I wear a helmet.
don't want to scrape
another
it off.
mountain biking.
The Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away.
Hey, that's good.
Thank you.
You go to lunch more often.
Feed me lines.
Exactly.
Don't read my name. Hey, I'm in a situation. I don't know what to do. I've been a part-time youth pastor at a small church, around 60 people, 6 teens. For a little while, more than a year, and I've been given an ultimatum by the senior pastor to grow the church in 2 months or I will be fired.
Tell him or her the same thing.
Yeah, I was going to say the pastor hasn't had that ultimatum there. But anyway.
Ultimatum. Grow your
pastor to
group.
you.
That's
Isn't that just...
He told me...
10% of the congregation.
Has anybody been told to make the town larger? I mean, at some point, there's an accountability. It's like, how big is your population?
Well, at most, 90% of our friends listening are going through this in some way. They may not be told this directly, but there's that pressure. He says, the pastor's told me that I need to do a lot of activities and stuff and no more teaching because the kids are bored and we need to get them moving and taking them to stuff like bowling. He has even said I may need to pay that out of my own pocket. I get paid $500 a month. I'm not sure if I should stay or try to work it out or quit before I'm fired. I'm young and I'm worried that another church will not hire me. My last church I was full-time and it did not end well there either. I definitely need your prayers and advice if you are able. Your brother in Christ. So what do we say to this fine young man who is indeed our brother in Christ and struggling?
There's Steve. I'm sorry. No.
Yeah.
Don't you
well,
think
the
you
fact...
Go ahead.
No, I always talk.
All right, I'll go first. I think you have to appreciate this pastor's honesty. Wrong, misplaced, whatever. At least he or she is saying really what their expectations are.
Yeah.
Like most of the times, those expectations are the same. No one just says it out loud.
By the way. That was good.
So, well, you never know. It could be.
Are you checking email down there?
No, I'm turning it off. It just vibrated.
So what I would say, first of all, just go, hey, you know the playing field right now. You know the rules of the game. Here, you got to score or you're done. If you don't think it's possible, if you can't play this game, then you have an answer.
Because I'll tell you what is a tough question, I think, is how do you value numbers and growth without overvaluing numbers and growth?
Which would be a good question, a good discussion another time.
Yeah. But with this... Oh, I cut you off.
No. I think I keep going.
Was that it?
Every number represents.
We count people because people can be counted.
Because it's really important, or we get in trouble.
And they can be counted twice.
They can be counted twice. That's
Go to the bathroom. That's a 2.
That's right.
Exactly. Number 1 or number 2? Number 2.
You're in the orchestra and there's 4 services. We'll count you 4 times.
4 times. That's right.
I love choir weekends. Look at all those kids in that choir. I am.
I'm looking at them. I'm looking at them 4 times.
Both
Okay.
The fact that your last place it didn't end well.
Yeah.
I mean that's a tough thing. I mean I like we don't even know this guy's name, so this is not.
Right, and
Once
come out of the
again, I'm
gate
saying
0 for 2.
this isn't personal because I don't know your situation at all. But if it looks like if the last one didn't end well and it looks like things might not end well here, I mean there might be some changes that you need to make.
Well, at least you need to hold up the mirror. Okay,
And
so
look.
let's say that.
Yeah.
But there's also, because it didn't end well in the first job, there's also a little insecurity.
Right.
I got to imagine in his life right there. But there's 60 people in this church.
Right. Yeah.
And the pastor's saying he needs to grow it or lose his job. Now, there may be, obviously we've said this a million times. There's 2 sides to every story.
Totally.
And the pastor may be saying, hey, look, $500 a month from our little congregation.
Right, we've got to have results.
We kind of went into this thinking that we would, in some ways, quote unquote, buy a youth ministry. And going back to what you said, that's the honest part, and that's a neat. It's nice to actually have
some clarity, and
and expectations,
or said incorrectly or wrong, outright wrong.
And maybe should I stay and try to work it out or quit before I'm fired? That can't answer that for you. But maybe there's a place where if you did some investigation with your last church and what you're feeling now, is you probably have a great heart and you have some good skills. It might be one of the things about Matt we talked about is Matt got to work with somebody. I got to work with somebody for the first 4 years of doing youth ministry. I mean, there's something about not just being thrown into a situation on your own, especially if you're young. If you're young enough and you're mobile, go be a part of a team. And you're young and by yourself in a situation like this, and you get that pressure over your back and $500 a month and 6 kids and
Well, assuming assuming that you're the greatest thing since sliced bread, not you, because we know you are.
Yeah.
But
Thanks.
whoever wrote this,
Okay.
assuming that you are, and that's great, that you look in the mirror and there's not a whole lot to learn specific to this situation.
Yeah.
What I think you want to do is I think you want to come up with a little bit of a plan of trying to take these things seriously if you want to stay.
Yeah.
We can't answer the stay question. At least I don't think we can. And bring that plan back to the senior pastor and say, hey, I heard what you said. It was tough to hear, but I'm glad you said something. Here's my plan of action. I mean, even if it's a half sheet of paper with 4 bullet points on it, at least it shows that you've thought about it, and you're letting him speak into it, or her speak into it. And I think that's a way to be diligent and to be responsible and to respect the leader over you.
Well, and I would add one more thing to that. I would also go back to that leader with this plan, but I would say, I just, you've been upfront, you've been honest. I just want you to look me in the eyes, and I want you to tell me whether you think I can make it here.
Yeah, that's
because if
fair.
you don't think I can make it here, and we're just buying time.
Yeah.
We're going to be hurting a lot of people in the midst of this. So ultimately, let's close the deal early. If you don't think I'm the right guy, I'm not asking you to fire me now, but can we just create a little transition plan?
Yep.
And
boy, I'm glad I never asked you that question.
I'm glad I never had to answer it.
Don't you open up a little bit of can of worms, though?
Sure.
I mean, you're making yourself so vulnerable to a person who, senior pastors,
is clearly
just
out
to
there, too.
generalize.
Yeah.
Well, Josh, let's I'm the senior pastor at your church now. Okay, let's pretend. Let's pretend. And
Scene.
scene.
Hey,
roll.
Doug,
We're going to do some role play.
we had 6 kids this week.
Now we're in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, Pastor Doug, nice tie.
No, I mean,
How's your
ultimately, if I don't, maybe you're thinking I'm real honest with you because I'm being, hey, grow this thing or lose your job. But in the silence of my heart, I'm going, Josh really isn't the right guy. So I'm going to give him a task that's impossible because I know it's impossible because I've been this pastor of this church and we've only got 60 people. So now I'm asking him to do something I haven't been able to do. So wouldn't you want to know? Like I've said, over the years, again, I was at Saddleback for 18 years, and we let people go. And I had a couple times where I said to Rick, you know what? I want to be told before I'm ever in that situation.
And then you got fired.
And then,
No, but organizationally, it's true.
And for our teams listening,
should
I
never
really
hear
didn't get
No,
fired.
you didn't.
You should never do anything.
That would be
hear
okay.
anything good or bad in a review. It's like if you're getting a review and you're hearing something negative, it should not be the first time you've heard that. I mean, that's the organizational logic. But
How did that work with you at Saddleback?
Just terrific. I said I would not comment on the air. I have a no disclosure.
Non-disclosure
agreement that I signed.
12-year.
Yeah, I would like to say to this person,
NDA.
I would like to know your journey on that one. And if you want to send something in to simply sympodcast.gmail, I would be happy to interact with you a little bit on that.
Or call Doug's cell phone.
I hope the story's not over in that church.
No, it'd be neat. It'd be neat if it wasn't.
It would be cool to see a youth minister empower volunteers, build a team there, and take 6 kids, and it becomes,
7.
It would be a miracle if it could rival.
It's a big percentage.
Yeah,
I just thought it was
no, you're exactly right. And
really
I just
cool.
Sell drugs.
it
Is that in here? That's creative.
It's T3 talent treasure time. All right.
Tweed.
This person says, this is a tough question. He says, I'm a new SYM listener. Your musings are inspiring, funny, confusing, joyful, uplifting, disturbing, and thought-provoking.
In that order.
Confusing.
You're welcome.
Yeah. This is Michael from Greenville, Tennessee.
Michael Glazer,
Says, here's
thank
the
you.
deal. I'm a solo pastor.
Okay.
So now we've not the youth pastor.
Yeah.
We got the pastor.
So he has 60 people in his church.
In a
and I have
small...
I am dicked at.
I've got a youth leader. How great would that be?
Oh my
Well,
goodness.
in a small rural parish, worshiping around 75 on a Sunday.
Which a senior pastor
Senior
would say.
Senior pastor would always go 20% higher.
Exactly. I say count the coffee cups. is what I say.
Holy smokes.
We have ferreted something out here. Simply.
We're
He
paying our
says-
youth guy $500.
He says, I love
Why does he
youth
just
ministry.
take them bowling?
No more teaching.
Okay.
This is my favorite episode we've ever done.
I love youth ministry and involve our youth in regional activities, but we don't do much as a congregation. I teach the 6th through 12th grade class with a max of 9 youth. We usually get around 5 or 6 on Sunday morning.
Dun dun dun.
Exactly.
Any suggestions? Now, because you're a new listener, you know, one of the things that when we get something so broad that says
Right.
any suggestions,
What do
those
you
are-
think?
Those are
That is-
very difficult to answer. You
As long
know,
as it's joyful and uplifting this time. I think disturbing wouldn't be a good answer.
that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
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 Confusing.
Confusing.
That's
Well,
us.
Confusing
Yeah.
is us, yeah. Not that I'm assuming I'm us, because I'm not us.
No, but you know, one of the things that I thought about, the
Today you
reason I
are.
wanted to keep this one in is I thought, I love that he said, I love youth ministry. So here's the senior pastor.
Yeah.
Because he didn't have to say that.
No, I love youth ministry, and I'm involved in the youth in regional activities. I thought in this, why don't you find somebody in that church of 75 to become the youth worker who is going to have more capacity than you,
Yeah.
who is maybe not going to love them as much as you will, but how great would it be to be handpicked from that group of 75 by a pastor
Yeah.
who says, I love this group so much that I want to hand it over to you, and I'm still going to be involved.
Yeah.
Because what a great way to grow the youth ministry is that this person being involved and helping teach occasionally and champion the youth ministry from up front. I mean,
Yeah.
Well, I think the same thing you were saying, too, is that he could do it alongside for a little while.
Oh,
Exactly
for the
same
whole- for
recommendation,
always, if he really does love
just
youth.
come alongside and just launch it out.
and
be
how
cool.
rare would it be
Yeah, that
in a
is-
church where the senior pastor is so excited about the youth
in
ministry?
Well, I think a lot of senior pastors, because they were youth pastors, help them for a little while.
Yeah.
But it does seem like the longer a senior pastor is a senior pastor, the more they forget about youth ministry.
Well, I think they
you know?
forget,
So
and
this
it's
would be cool.
yeah, and
Because
it's
you
also
can't be as
something
fake with students, but
Yeah.
with adults, you could be fake all day long. It's way easier.
which is why Matt's no longer in youth ministry.
Yeah.
But I think that.
Son
That's a
of
good
a
one.
gun.
Welcome to the
That is
table.
Wow.
Thank you.
Craig,
Nicely
what?
done.
I'm
Why?
here for you.
Oh,
My
goodness
I'm just
gracious.
waiting for my seat under the bus.
My advice would be
Oh.
similar, except I would say, could you find 2 and just divide the 9 kids into 2 small groups?
Sure.
And you still oversee it,
Of
maybe.
5 and 4?
But but have a
a
couple
4 and
small
a
groups,
5.
have a couple
And one of
volunteers.
them's
that can
McGill,
run
and they
with
go
it.
from bus to bus to bus. It's like,
Well, and he says we don't do much as a
Yeah.
congregation. If he was maybe freed up, maybe somebody else was taking some of the youth responsibilities, and he was freed up to think of more intergenerational stuff, where there is other, you're doing stuff where the kids want to be involved.
Sing inspirations. Those are
Well,
big.
but a lot of it too is what the culture is in the
what that
community.
means.
Because there are some communities that are much more multi-generational and some aren't. So a
Yeah.
lot of it, it's got to mirror the community that way.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever heard of a Singspiration?
Yes, I have.
Moments ago.
You
It's
gotta
like a
remember,
praise and
Matt,
worship
that about
night.
7 years ago, you never heard of Maranatha music.
Totally.
Oh, man.
And how many of our podcast listeners have?
All of them.
17. I just got the stat right over there. You have it beside
No
us.
way.
Most everyone.
I would say 80%. probably.
No.
Yeah.
Maranatha with the exclamation point too.
Do you know I was in a meeting the other day and I didn't know
I knew you were in a
that
meeting.
What's that show with Opie? What's the name of
Andrew
that?
Griffith's show.
Yeah, I did not even. I've never heard of that.
That hurts your heart, doesn't it, Craig?
It does.
And I feel like
I
you
just
have
lost 2
failed me
years of
as
my
a
life.
friend for not telling me
That's
about
fair.
that
Well, I was
show.
busy. I only gotten up to the 50s. I
Hey,
haven't
why
reached
don't
the
we
early
send
60s.
people to your
See, you even know
to
what
your
year it was.
website and your blog, because you're very creative, and when Craig does, if you are looking, if you're
6
doing a
people in my
camp
history.
or a conference, and you're looking for an MC, somebody who is
with no hammer.
Josh is a good MC, but you're a great MC.
Yeah,
that's what I told him.
You can play the guitar, you make up funny songs, you're great with people.
Oh, the funny songs.
You
I
know,
love the funny
Song
songs.
inspirational?
let's put it this way.
Yeah, you're
Have you heard of
way.
Song
I
Inspirations?
know.
We could have gotten to this a lot sooner.
What I say to him is, I know Craig Hodgkins, and you're no Craig.
But I can spell potato.
Yeah,
exactly.
What is your website?
Well, it's CraigHodgkins.com.
How do you spell Hodgkins?
Hodg. Why am I staring into the microphone? Hodgkins.
Just like the disease.
Craig Hodgkins. Yeah, cancer of the lymph glands. Thank you. Except mine's not possessive. I get a lot of Googles on that, so I don't write about cancer.
I'm
because
sure.
Otherwise, I
Craig
get too many hits.
lymphoma.
No. I've got a blog, which is Craig Hodgkins.
If you were him, you'd put that in your meta tags.
WordPress.com, and then my new website, CraigHodgkins.com. Thank you for mentioning.
Oh, you're welcome.
Photos of me with famous people.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did a Disney
But
thing
famous
not long
people,
ago.
but
It was
you
cool.
have to, you have to be smart.
So really quick, let's go back. What,
know
what was that
smart
show you guys
famous
talking about?
Andy
Griffith
Griffith
Show.
Oh,
Have
sounds
you
like
heard
a
of
good
that?
show.
Andy Griffith.
Yeah,
what was
Opie?
Ron Howard.
Red Ron
Thank
Howard,
you.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I met
Matt,
Ron Howard one time.
Matt is
Big
we
brother
can't,
of Clint.
if we started making a list of all the things Matt doesn't know about
Younger brother.
cultural things,
I only think about things that matter.
I understand.
And that dog in Mexico.
World of Warcraft.
So this is from Jeremy
helps me to forget
Pinson.
things
Jeremy
that matter.
Pinson, Broadway Assembly, Lorain, Ohio. I've not been able to come up with my messages lately. It's like I've hit a wall. I've been using other curriculum, but I would like to get back teaching my own stuff. Any suggestions?
We've got some great messages from 1993 that we've been hearing recently.
Wow.
On my blog, morethandodgeball.com, I linked to a great article this week called "How to Get Out of a Message Rut." It was how to get into, how to prep
I bet you have a
messages.
blog.
It was good. Yeah, that's pretty good. But it was originally, the article was posted on pdymcommunity.org, and it's really good. It just talks about how to prepare messages when you're in a rut. They start to sound the same, they start to illustrate the same, they start to whatever, and he gives like 5 ways. And
Yeah.
I posted a couple of them that were good.
Well, one of the things that we've done here at Simply Youth, this is how Simply Youth Ministry started, 20 years ago, is
4 guys sitting around
This
the table
podcast.
saying things.
Hanging out
this
on
idea
iTunes.
of helping people put messages together was
Yeah.
going, the person who mentored me, Tim Timmons, when he said, once you create a message, let other people use it. And and then I've said to people, I don't want you teaching my stuff all the time, but there are seasons when you just hit a wall and teach
Totally.
somebody else's stuff.
And if you teach somebody else's stuff, you can get ideas, because sometimes you'll be, as you're teaching through that, other things will come to mind, and tangential things that, it's a whole other topic that you haven't thought of.
Tangential.
Ladies
I'm
and
sorry,
gentlemen,
I apologize about the
Wow.
vocabulary.
biggest word ever used in 116 episodes.
And did you actually pronounce that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not like
I mean,
you
I'm
would-
not going to
Not
question.
like you would know.
Yeah.
He would.
Well, I learned
He
it on
would-
the Andy Griffith Show.
But here's the other thing that we would say to Jeremy is that if you have other people in your life that are teachers or can teach, let them, give them a shot every once in a while, but also involve them. Josh and I just finished a 6-week series that we did on the Beatitudes.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And we traded talks every week. I'd send him mine, he'd send me his, and we would give input to each other's talks. And
was
sometimes,
so
Matt and I have done this for years, that your head is down so much in this passage or study or whatever it might be,
Yeah.
that you can't see any illustrations, you
Right.
can't see any hope of how you're going to land the plane, and you invite other people into the process.
I think it's an obvious question, but we haven't said it. But I think we'd all agree. I mean,
Right.
one,
That's quite a purpose.
yeah.
Feels like that
Are
would
you
be the
spending
obvious
time
answer.
alone?
Yeah.
Are you
to the
spending
Lord.
time thinking? The smart aleck way I could have said it was, are you sitting around thinking? But the nice
How's it
way,
going for you?
yeah, exactly. But I mean, so that's really important. If you're not taking any time to Sabbath, to rest,
Yeah,
to,
let
to
your heart-
think,
Sure.
but I think the other thing is, for coming up with messages and things to teach about, is what are you talking about with students?
Yeah.
I think
right.
your conversations with. Oh, I thought that was to me. Special private notes here on the podcast.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But I think your conversations with people that are in your flock, in your youth ministry, is huge. I mean, not that it's like, hey, okay, this week's message is from Mike. Not like that.
right.
But
Shout out to
but
Mike.
yeah.
We've been having some fun recently. I put together a few students to help on it's called a sermons and series team, and it's just some students that hang out in my office on Tuesdays, and we just talk about the upcoming week, the next series. We talk about maybe some programming elements or a skit or whatever, but we also talk about passages of scripture that are meaningful to them and what's happening at their school that would illustrate this principle. And I've been amazed at the amount of stuff that's come out of there that I have been able to use in a talk.
Well, hey, you guys have been students. You guys are thinking about stuff. And
Totally.
B, it gives them ownership. It gives them more buy-in. And hey, you know what? The opportunity for them to be more invitational to their friends. We're actually going to talk about something that's of interest to what's going on in campus.
Well, this one girl was talking talking about her faith kind of under challenge at school, and she says it's like you inflate a balloon with your faith, and then every time someone challenges you, it's like a little deflates every time. So I actually brought a balloon up on stage and used her idea, and you would have thought that it was like, I mean, she was like beaming.
That's great.
So,
did you pay for the balloon or get it free?
No, free. It's all free. Someone did.
Well, I would also say, Jeremy, that
You went to Chuck E. Cheese.
it is seasonal. No matter if you're in the Word, you're
that's for
praying.
sure.
There's times where you're doing a
You got
Saturday
nothing
night
to
special,
say.
and you're going, man, I thought this was going to win, and it's not.
Yeah, in the middle of the message, it's not a good time to get that vibe.
To realize that. Man, I thought this was going to go good.
Exactly. All right. I thought this was going to go
I've been
better.
writing Doug's talk since I was a freshman in high school, so I
That's
don't
true.
really know where he gets inspiration.
I use those
You've
talks.
been his stylist. You've been his
From
stylist
you and
as
that
well.
dog in Mexico, I think.
Oh gosh.
This is from Chris Harkins, and Chris
Chris.
says,
we do
he's
that?
talking about splitting the junior high and high school ministries on their crowd program. We're running about 35 junior high and 20 high school, larger when it's not sports season. We have leaders, the room, and the resources to split, because that's typically what we say, Craig, is split the group
Get
when you
certain
have
size,
when you have your leaders
Kind of the
to pull
Calvary
it off.
Chapel method. You get 200 people, create a new church.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. And criticize the other ones.
No.
Whoa.
What?
Whoa. Easy.
What?
Base
Did I say
everything
that?
on feelings. What?
I have 3 children very happily at
This is our high school is gung ho and has mentioned the reason they don't invite friends because of the younger junior high, grades 6 through 8. There. My team is for the split, but I'm getting pushback from leadership. Their feeling is we will lose momentum and the party feel of our crowd program. My reason for wanting to split is to focus on students where they're at, attention spans, life challenges, etc. What are your thoughts? My thoughts are
Split it.
split it yesterday.
A 6th grade, girl is like light years different than a 12th grade boy. I
Yep,
mean, oh my
absolutely.
gosh.
Well, and
Or
you're gonna
6th grade boy.
anytime you do
unless
any
the 12th
change,
grade boy is in the World of
I
Warcraft.
just circled the pushback from leadership.
Yeah, you still have to address that, right?
Well, you're going to get pushback no matter what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that is
But
true.
but it sounds to me like the church just loves the feel and the vibe of the larger numbers. Well, that's
Yeah.
that's a false read.
yeah, yeah. What do you mean by that's a false read? Explain.
Well, I
that.
mean, it's the fact that energy's great, but it's not sustainable if it's just a part. You've been to great parties. I know you have.
I have.
Because the ones giving away free stuff. But the idea is that that the party can't sustain. At some point, the party's going to die. It's going to reach that peak. But it's a sustainability. Like you said, you're looking for life change. You're looking for continuity over a long period of time. And the kids are only going to get that.
Church is judged
small
not on
groups,
its seating capacity, but its sending capacity.
But I would say this: I
Thank you,
thrive
Rick.
on
Aphorisms are us.
the energy of the crowd, though. Is that matters to me? Like I can tell the difference between a crowd that's
Okay,
in
then
and
why don't you
buzzed
do it
and
to the
jazzed
thing? Why don't
and-
you have crowd first and then split? That whole idea where you started out. If
Yeah.
that's a discussion, maybe that's a good compromise. Where let's have that energy opening, first part, and then we divide up, almost like you do with small groups
Yeah.
later in the day. Maybe that's a compromise that may work.
Well, and do a test run too, because if your high school students are saying we're not inviting friends because of 6th graders, and then 6 months in, they're not inviting their friends.
Exactly.
Then,
Well, I have a
know,
feeling you're going to split and you're going to go, oh, this is so much better. The discussion is richer. That people feel, there's a reason that, and it doesn't always have to work that way, but there's a reason that our school systems separate junior high and high school as well.
What is that reason?
I
Well,
don't
that
know.
schoolhouse, have the first graders in with the senior boys. and they're not
Craig
plowing.
Pfeiffer from Walla Walla, Washington.
Hi, Craig.
He
I
has a
applaud your name.
question about Mormonism and
So do I. Can you answer that?
144,000 questions.
What?
it's Jehovah's Witness.
Oh, shoot.
Know your cults.
I was just testing. I'll take Know Your Colts for 400, Alex.
Matt, we have
Bicycle.
don't we have
Watchtower.
a curriculum on Mormonism? It's in the Bible Institute.
It's called Teeth.
Is it
No,
out?
it's not out.
Oh, it's not out.
No, but
Pearl
if you
of great
want,
price.
yeah, I'll send it away
Actually,
for free.
Pearl of reduced
It's-
price.
Give away
it's-
the freebie this week.
Okay,
on
would you send it to?
Yeah, I
Craig?
put. Yeah, what's the?
We'll sell them that book, Pearl of Reduced Price.
Yeah.
Give them a deal.
Hey, speaking of our buddy Matthew McNutt from Wilmington, Delaware, he says, do you have a minimum age for volunteers with your programs? Before my current church, I had always had 21 as a minimum. I think it gives more of a buffer zone between the kids and the leaders. And my current church, where I've been at now, it's traditionally been as soon as they were out of the program, they could volunteer in it. I didn't want to change a whole lot my first year, so I rolled with it, which led to some drama this last summer. Not cool. Anyway, just wondering if you have a minimum age for volunteers and interns as I rework some of the way we do things here.
Totally.
Physical age or mental age?
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, that's a big deal. I was a youth pastor intern when I was 21 years old. That was a really bad mistake for me at my maturity level at age 21. I am all for having a little bit, unless it's a community, and you guys know this better than me, where, you're just looking for a good warm body to kind of sit and host. But I love a couple, 3 years. But a lot of it, to Matt's point, is emotional maturity. Some people could be ready,
Well, they could be ready. It doesn't mean you have to put them there. So if you're an 18-year-old high school graduate and they may be a superstar, great. Let them go work with junior high.
Totally.
Yeah,
There's a 4-year difference there.
Yeah. And it's a big 4-year
We have
difference,
said traditionally at Saddleback, we've said when you're a senior in high school, you can work with junior high, which is a 3-year difference, and out of high school, 2 years. Right?
Just 1. Maybe switch to 2.
Well, you may have switched it to 1, but
Yeah, I inherited.
I'd love to go back.
I think it's
on the
wisdom and
dogs. Do you want to
discretion.
bet?
2 years. Oh, absolutely. I'll bet on that.
Really?
Without a doubt.
2 years?
Yeah, let's just go.
You
I'll
got
go
it?
to PDYM and show it to you.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I'll bet.
Okay. What do you want to
Wait,
bet?
do you mean in writing or in practice?
Yes.
Writing. No,
In writing.
Let's
even.
talk about this after the show because we're about to run out of tape, right, Chris?
Yeah.
Offline.
I'll totally bet you on that, though.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's a year. You got to be at least a year out.
You got it pretty sure?
Yeah, I would enough
Is
to
it
bet a
worth taking
lunch
us all
on
the
it.
boneheads for lunch today? Let's find out.
Do I get free
Take
stuff?
us all.
Hey, speaking of boneheads, you're on with Matthew.
Yes.
You get the rules
I
by
got
next
it.
week.
Got it.
All
I'll
right.
text them right now.
Great.
Craig, thank you for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me.
CraigHodgkins.com.
No value, yeah, but
No,
I'm here.
you
I had a
were-
great time hanging with you guys.
Yeah,
Oh,
you're
so-
not
You say
that
no
product.
value or no Valium?
No Valium. No Valium.
You're not
All
as
right.
much fun as Jana.
She's
But
much better looking.
No.
well,
I would have been. I was really holding back. I was holding back today.
no, you
It's your
were-
show.
You were average. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But that's good in baseball.
That's a lot better than me.
I was over the Mendoza line. That was the deal.
That's great. Okay. Thanks everybody. See you next week. Next Thursday. We're doing it every Thursday, whether these guys show up or not, because this is my only job now.
Yeah.
All I do is podcast.
Yep.
God damn.